Wednesday afternoon here on the sunny Sunshine Coast of Queensland. Week 5, day 4, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, day 4, 3 days to go. We're going to get straight into it. What's the first thing we do? 4 steps. That's all there is to it. How do we get it onto the instrument? So we've opened up the body resonance. We're using the passive reduction of the lungs. Once you've taken a breath, the air wants to come out. We're not using any abdominal engagement at this stage. Of course, until the air starts running out on a longer lot of harmonic slurs or on our long tone. But when we're getting the instrument onto the face, simple as that. Then grab the lead pipe, put the mouthpiece on. Place lead pipe over the top. How to play trumpet efficiently in 5 easy steps, or a few more, in about a minute and a half. That's the way to go. Now, of course, for those of you that have been working through the challenge every week, we need to use the breathing bags. I've set the metronome up here. If you haven't used a breathing, you don't have to get it from me, just get a breathing bag from somewhere. If you're a wind player and you haven't experienced the benefits of using one, you're missing out. You're not missing out, you're ripping yourself off, and you're not getting the benefits from your practice routine that you will be, because it draws your attention to the openness. Remember, this is part of your instrument. The air in there is part of your instrument. It's vibrating like the air in your instrument is. If you've been watching every day, you're sick of me saying it. I don't care. Here we go. 4 beats in, 4 beats out. You've got to experience that. Then we can change, add a few extra notes on. So you're moving your entire lung capacity in 1 beat, then into 8th notes. And after doing it so much, it makes me wonder why I didn't do more of it whilst recording the whole Windworks course. I did some of it, obviously. You'll see it there. It's all about opening up the system and breathing, but using the breathing bag and the Voldine, it's just the next level. So just try it. Go and buy one somewhere, and if it doesn't work for you, I'll refund you. How's that? I could go broke real quick, but you got to try it. You've got to experience that, the transferal of the air into the bag and back again. As little friction or feeling of movement whatsoever. That's the feeling we want when we're playing. Now, it's just under the 5,000. So there's been a development there over the 5 weeks. Just looking for small improvements based on daily practice. And I've only just been doing this challenge, and I'm doing it for longer than what you will be, because most people won't do the hour and fill out each box. Maybe you will, but doing it and doing each box, each speed tempo, you just feel it open up. It happens naturally. So it's up to the 5 regularly now. So there's something obviously expanding just from doing a simple exercise. Then, of course, I need to do the long tone. So we go down here. I think I need to refresh this page very quickly. And hopefully that's streaming through the page. Now, I know I had up here 10:30 this morning. It's a little later than that by about 7 hours. But life gets in the way sometimes. The notes that we're up to. And I've had an amazing couple of days this week, because a couple of them were improvements on speed and a couple of them were improvements on duration. That's what we're looking. I've seen some awesome stuff. Thank you for sending videos in. Thank you. The improvements are great. The seeing people unlock just what can be a really hard technique, and even though the speed on some of them might not be super fast, the development is what I'm interested in, the process behind it. It doesn't matter what speed I'm doing, it doesn't matter how long I go for, we're just all pushing our boundaries. So here we go. All this talking, I think I'm just putting off my doing a long note. Let's see what happens. It's active at the moment to train the body what to do. We're getting that carbon dioxide levels lowered in the brain. Is it madness? Possibly. However, again, we're pushing ourselves. We're finding our barriers. That was 75. I did 85 on trombone the other day, and Greg Quigley was next to me, and the audio was stuffed up on the video, so I don't have it there. But it's just amazing to feel that once you've done it, you don't have to do it again. And then just when you go to play, you're going to feel the benefits from it. I have friends visiting. They're over the road. They're up in beautiful Sunshine Coast. So I'm going to fly through these, see what happens. I'll start at the... I'll start flat out. What the heck? Work backwards. The reason I'm saying that and doing it, you don't have to do every box every day. We've all got different stuff on. Sometimes you can only practice a little bit. Sometimes you can practice a lot. Just make sure you practice your limits, even if you're only doing it for a couple of minutes. You're finding that limit, your speed limit, your time limit. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. Hello again. I have a question about the long tone as first thing playing on the trumpet. Yes, Thomas. I'm trying to see the rest of the question. During long tone, soft. Oh, why can't I see the rest of that question? Just when I think I've got this sorted out, I'm trying to see the rest of your question and it's not opening. Here we go. During long tone, soft, I feel like air wants to go out faster. So to keep it soft and long, air is backing up. How do you control it without tensing the body? It's a great question. We are actually, on the long tone, we're actually controlling with the intercostal muscles how slowly the body reduces the airflow. So, and of course, when you're running out of air, you're squeezing the very last bit of air out of your lungs. So there is going to be, and especially when the brain's screaming out for you to take a breath. But what I'm interested in here, even though the musculature is working, it's not strained, but it's working, but the feeling all the way through has to be that feeling of the hum. So we're pulling the pressure back off the lip oscillator, and that's the whole thing. That's why the sound isn't perfect, but that's because I'm pulling the pressure back to that brink of the softest note, going for as long as possible. And yes, you will recognize the body doing all sorts of things, but the most important thing is that, okay? And then just recognize what the body's doing, and the way that you'll overcome it is by doing it every day. How long can you go for? Has there been an improvement over the 5 weeks? And if you haven't done the 5 weeks, but Thomas, I think you've been around for a while. So has it developed over the 5 weeks? And then if not, I'm curious. Although, I mean, mine's improved a little bit. Once I got past that minute mark, it's been anywhere between a minute, minute 5 and a minute 25, depending on the breath and depending on the day. But you just recognize things every different day. And that's the same philosophy or the same idea behind the whole Windworks challenge, is as you're going for longer or going for faster, the body does tense up, and that's what we're trying to let go of. And so I'd get you to try humming. Hum softly. If you're watching here now, try it. Try humming softly. If I'm passive, if I let the body go, as soon as I relax, it's louder. So in order to keep the note softer, you've got to keep the body out here, which is the intercostal muscles around the ribs. You're controlling it, but it doesn't have to be a strain. So just keep exploring. Don't panic about the body freaking out. Just recognize it and see what you can let go. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. So again, it's there. It's not controlled. It's not pulsing all the way through. But the process of coming back daily and practicing it is what we're looking at. So now 152. I've got the minute there for 148, 144. So I'll aim for the 152 minute. There's no rules as to how many you have to do. There's no rules as to how many you can go for. There's just come back, and when you're practicing, it's called smart practice, practicing at your limits, not just practicing the same stuff. Don't do hours of harmonic slurs. Do a few harmonic slurs, really smart at your limit. My pleasure, Thomas. You try that. Awesome. Here we go. The funny thing is, I don't know why I stopped then. I could have got to 55, but I started laughing. When you're going from the passive and then slowly the body has to engage, and then the body's getting into that point where you've got to kind of really keep going to push that last bit of air out. That's what Thomas was talking about, actually, is the body can really stress and tighten up. Keeping everything cool, getting past that limit. So the transition of breath, passive into active and then into the final bit of residual air there, it can be tough. And I don't think for any of the weeks, and I don't know, I haven't looked back, I've got 152 for a minute. Maybe I have. I think there must be by the 50-second mark, and it's probably got something to do with the air, but the lips started going, hang on, we're not cruising here anymore. It's not subconscious muscle tweaking. It's conscious on trying to keep the vibration going and then keep the air moving. Again, we're letting the oscillator survive on a minimal amount of air pressure. So we're taking the pressure out of the lips and we're working on breath control. It's just a smart thing to do. I could easily finish now and go, I've done my practice for the day. I've ticked the box, done. But I won't be doing that. I won't let myself off that easily. And so I'll go up to 200. So we're after 5 seconds at 200. And interestingly, 8 beats at 200, it's not easy. But the fact that I can do 1 beat, 2 beats, 4 beats, logic says 8 beats, so logic says 16 beats. What happens? As I was just saying, the muscles go, oh, I'm confused now. But come back tomorrow. Let's see what happens today. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, 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 wah. I can do that for 5 seconds, no problem. So what happens? And of course, just so I'm being transparent, the wah, wah, wah isn't exactly the movement. It's a smaller movement. Of course, there's back pressure from the horn. But it's a face movement at that speed. Okay? Wah, wah, wah. It's a little bit behind. So there's 8. So why 5 seconds shouldn't be a problem? Yet it is. So, again, I'm limiting this at 5 weeks, but that doesn't mean after 5 weeks you're done. Keep coming back. This is where we're up to for the 5 weeks, and I just wanted to show what you can develop over 5 weeks. But you've got this chart forever. Come back and keep working on it next week, the week after, the week after, the week after. 160. So I think I started just before the 5 and finished just before the 3. Thereabouts 50, maybe I'll just go 45. So there's 60, 55, 50, 45. So, oh, hang on, that's not the right box. Okay, yeah. So that makes more sense. Just that little gap there. Now let's get back to 192. What? So get the feeling of it away from the horn. So you've learnt it away from the horn. It's all over the place today. So I got 1, 2, 4, 8, 5 seconds, 10 seconds the other day. So there's no way I can do that today. And this is the point. It just fluctuates from day to day. Doesn't matter as long as you're checking in. That's all that matters. 168. Just feeling all kinds of awful. Yeah, no, not even anywhere near it. So let's go back to 184. Just about done. The process of even getting there and it just falling apart. You're still working on breath control. You're working on awareness. You're telling the muscles what you want it to do. You recognise what you need it to do. And again, Lord forbid we had to do that on a gig. So we're going far beyond what we need to do on the gig. For 1, 2, 4, 8, 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. I'm wasting your time and wasting my time. If I was just practicing here on my own, I would spend a little bit more time on that and trying a couple of times. But I'm not going to do that to you. 176. Let's see what happens. It's a check-in. And if I was doing a whole routine here, what would I do? Well, firstly, I'd do much more of a warm-up. I would spend more time on a couple of not all of them. I'd check in on some. I wouldn't do them all. Check in on some. Spend a bit more time on a speed one like the 208. Spend a bit more time on the duration one. Where I'm at a limit where I think a box could be ticked. But even if you don't get that deep into it, you just come back and go, what can I do today? Without even trying I know that you will have recognised over the 5 weeks that things just start to fall into place. And you've seen it, if you've watched them all, numerous times, where I just go, where did that come from? We're not manipulating the process. We're keeping the body cool. We're teaching this motor mechanic what to do. And it starts to be cool with the process. And it happens. You don't have to think about it. The motor will just operate. So here's the last one. Going along okay there, and then it slipped off. So 15, I'm nowhere near it. So what happens sometimes, and it's a weird experience, it almost feels like a resonance where something's swaying. Imagine 2 people bouncing on a trampoline, and then you get that, and it just happens together, and you get more energy. You get onto a flow. The energy, the flow of the air is just coming out beautifully. You're not forcing it. It's not held back. There's no restriction at the lips. And you just feel this. It's like I can go all day doing this, and then all of a sudden something gets out of phase, and it takes one little note, and it can throw it all out. That's what happened there. I was sitting there going, this is actually feeling really good, and then it just went, and that's what we're looking for. It's an awareness of everything. So the only thing, of course, I haven't done is so even after 5 weeks, I'm still going tum-tum, tum-tum. And then all of a sudden it happens. Put the instrument down, go and have a coffee, and immerse yourself in the feeling of what just happened. Eventually, it will be what happens all the time. It's just this thing that, I mean, I've never really, this is a stupid thing, I've never really worked on this piece. I did once, had to play it for a birthday party, but I would never perform it in public. But there was just that, I noticed that little thing, whatever that thing is. And it's a brain thing, it's a wiring thing. And then all of a sudden when you give it the right direction, you got it, yep. And out of the blue, it happens the right way. That Greg puts the instrument down and has a coffee and goes, right, that felt good, you can do it. Don't try and do it, don't get the conscious mind in the way, just let it happen automatically. If there's no questions, thank you for watching. There's 3 days to go. I've had a ball doing this, and I'm looking forward to filling out the chart on Saturday and then comparing it to week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5, of course. It's a smart way to practice. I wish I had done it years ago, but at the same time, if I had have done that years ago, I'd probably be a far better player and not done the work that I was going to do. Again, it's me, Thomas. Yes, I take a chance on another question, of course. Relaxing techniques. There are exercises with almost no air. Yep, I find it interesting because these notes with almost no air, like oral cavity notes, are more resonant, louder, easier. I try to keep this feeling, but when I take full breath, the sound is not so resonant. Does that mean the big amount of air is tensing my body? Not necessarily. Should I try to release it slower? Like in breathing gym exercise, throwing paper plane. Well, it's definitely, it's a complex question. And you can get at that volume, and there's I mean, this is so not much in your question. Is the lip offering any resistance? Is the oscillator too tight? So therefore, are you increasing the pressure that is required to play with the sound? Now remember, this is not a sound exercise, the long ones especially, because we're pulling the pressure way back. So there are exercises almost no air, and the almost no air is how much air. Okay, so there's almost no air, and again on the really long tones there's almost no air, but you can have different degrees of almost no air. I find it interesting because these notes with almost no air, oral cavity notes, are more resonant, louder, and easier. So the resonant, louder, easier, there's still volume comes from flow and the balance between the amount of flow and the tension in the chops. And again, I go, this is where are you doing harmonic slurs when you're doing that? Because all of a sudden when we're I didn't take a big breath then, and that alludes to what you just said then. I try to keep this feeling, but when I take a full breath, the sound is not so resonant because there's all this pressure behind the body. You can do it, but it's just another deep matter of controlling it, you know. Does it mean the big amount of air is tensing my body? Quite possibly, yep. Or should I release it more slowly? Both. Like in the breathing gym exercise. But the throwing of the paper plane is a lot more flow. The idea is the same. But we're pulling it way back. And so when you say the big resonant sound, that's a lot louder, and there's still not much air being displaced. It's a more resonant, rich, you know, there's more harmonics in the sound, but it's double the volume to what I'm doing when we're doing the harmonic slurs here. So again, I wouldn't get too hung up on any of that. I would just recognize what's going on with your playing and with the system, I mean. And if you want to make it sound perfect, that's fine, but then that's a different thing again. How long can I go for with the best sound I can make at a pianissimo? By all means do that, but you'll recognize that the duration of it isn't quite as long. And is it a valid thing? Of course it is a valid thing. We're all, at the end of the day, we're all trying to play with the most beautiful sound all the time. But sometimes, as you will see in the Windworks course, you've got to sacrifice quality of tone to train the brain new techniques. Once it's got the technique, then you can purify the sound. But the singing C exercise comes to mind straight away. Getting people to go and you're playing an A flat above the stave, passive, absolutely no engagement. And then going through all the different volumes we have to engage, harmonic slurs with varying volumes, then harmonic slurs with completely passive all the way up. That whole exercise is passive. There was no body engagement for the whole thing. And that sounded okay. It didn't sound great. I could control the sound if I wanted to, but I don't want to give it any kind of engagement whatsoever. The sound will come. So, again, complex question, but very valid. And just recognise the impact. Hi, Claire. I got your email. All is good. yeah, just recognise what the body's doing. Recognise what the impact that a full breath has, what a small breath has, what a push has, what speed has, what volume has. Just looking at all the different elements of what's involved in playing. So, yes, keep the sound as clean as you possibly can with as little work as possible. That's the end game. And again, when you go from crazy, filling out charts mode into music mode, then of course our focus is on sound, purity of sound, and the facility that you've developed from doing this is going to make those whatever the techniques required are when you're playing, make them easier. You'll be able to make them sound beautiful with less work. And that's you've seen the 1% rule video. It's all we're after. Get a beautiful sound, 1% less work for 1% more resonant, open, rich sound. Less work, more sound. Less work, less work, more sound. I could sit here and talk about this for ages. I hope we'll meet on Skype soon. Absolutely, my friend. I would more than happily have a session with you on Skype. That'd be terrific. I am going away next Tuesday for 3 weeks. So get your videos in. I still haven't decided whether to, because there'll be a lot to watch and I want to really watch them closely, whether I do it on Monday before I leave, which is going to be a busy day, or just leave it for a couple of weeks, watch them while I'm away, and then come back and decide. Anyway, all of that. Get your videos in by... We finish Saturday. Saturday's the last day. So I might give an extra day's leeway, and even the Monday. They're in by the Monday. And it's a couple of days, so that's pretty generous. No, I make it the Sunday. Yeah, so that's the day after the week and the first day. So I'll put something up. I'll send out an email and put it all up on the site here. That closing time of video applications. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's I hope you've enjoyed the process of just coming back every day and recognizing how the body develops. I'm done. So unless there's any other questions, thank you for taking part of it. I've had fun, and that's the way I've had my whole career. If I'm having fun, that's all that counts. If anyone else enjoys it, it's a bonus. Anyway, I could rave about that. But I have friends here from Melbourne, and so I'm going to go and catch up with them. I haven't seen them for a long time. So you all have a wonderful day wherever you are on this wonderful planet of ours, and we'll see you tomorrow. I have no idea what time I'm going to do. No idea, because I just put down a time and then I change it. So it's a bit hard to plan everything at the moment. But anyway, it will hopefully be 10 a.m. Australian time, which makes life a little bit tough in Europe. I get that. Tomorrow's 10, then Friday's 7, then yeah. So it'll be in the morning tomorrow. Anyway, have a great day. I'm now going to press stop streaming.